Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Box's Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by #basketball.com, your home for the very best fantasy basketball tools and articles on the internet. Go check them out. I don't know what you're doing not checking them out. It doesn't make sense that you haven't checked them out yet. #basketball.com. They are your home for fantasy basketball. I'm your host, Mike Catron, and joining me as always is my co-host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Oh, Michael, it's a very frigid day.
It is incredibly cold. It is snowing in most of the upper parts of the states and in Canada. Or shout out to our Canadian listeners. And it is going to get even colder here in the city of Chicago. We are due to run into a record low and possibly could be below zero for 60 straight hours.
I think that's just miserable. Like, there's nothing to even say about that.
No, my suggestion is call in sick. Don't go to work. Take a day off. You know, if your boss is making you go into work on Wednesday here and the high is -14 and you are in the Chicagoland area, call in sick. Does your boss know you're calling in sick because it's -14 out? Yeah, he does. Or she. Don't be sexist. But there's nothing they can do about it. They have no right to ask you what you're sick with. Call in sick, grab 20 blankets, get on the couch, and knock out an entire season of something on Netflix. Treat yourself instead of going outside and possibly getting frostbite just so some company you work for can make an extra few dollars on your hard work. Screw that. Not worth it.
Is that a Cat Williams impression you just did?
I maybe. He might have been summoned out of the depths of. Well, he was on the last season of Atlanta, and he put in that was a good episode. I don't know are you a big fan of the show Atlanta, Tyler?
No, but I'm a big fan of Cat Williams' stand-up.
Oh, really? That is interesting. I would not have expected you as a Cat Williams stand-up guy.
Yeah, I'm a big stand-up comedy fan in general, but I'm a big fan of Cat Williams.
He has been out of the game a little bit, but if you guys out there, all you listeners, if you have not seen the latest season of Atlanta, and Tyler, this goes for you. That's what you could do on Wednesday. Call in sick, watch both seasons of Atlanta. Even if you've seen this Atlanta, I might stay home and watch both seasons of Atlanta again. It is easily one of the best shows on TV.
Hey, I enjoy doing that. Like, some people think I'm crazy, but I like to watch shows a couple times. I feel like you catch a lot of stuff the second time that you missed the first time around.
Yeah, I think like comedies, that's a good move. Parks and Rec, The Office. I'm a big fan of Community. I always like that show. 30 Rock is highly underrated, and there is a lot to catch in those episodes. I understand those, but it's hard to rewatch dramas. Other than like The Wire, you could always watch The Wire.
Well, I mean, dramas are. Who's watching a drama more than once? Nobody. I mean, the mystery is gone at that point.
Very few. I will say, Band of Brothers is worth watching more than once. Very good, very good TV.
I think that's what makes it a good comedy, though. Like, this is maybe a controversial take, but like some people like get super into Kevin Hart, and I'm like, I feel like if you've seen one Kevin Hart stand-up, you've seen them all. Like, he reuses the jokes so many times that it's just not that funny. Whereas, like, I don't know, there are certain comedies where I can watch it like 100 times and still laugh so hard at it.
Yeah, I am not even going to go after Kevin Hart. He is too powerful in the basketball world, but I cannot say that I am watching a lot of Kevin Hart at all. If you're gonna go watch a Netflix special, I'm still hooked on those Dave Chappelle stand-ups. They were fantastic.
Oh, dude, the newer ones?
Oh yeah,
man, they got me good. Those were great.
Listen, he's the king. That's why he was the king. He still is the king. He's one of the greatest. But that is enough about what you should all be doing on Wednesday instead of going to work is staying warm, watching TV. But right now, we got some fantasy basketball to talk about, Tyler. And the biggest news out here in the NBA right now is the official announcement that Anthony Davis has no intention in re-signing with the New Orleans Pelicans, and he has requested a trade. I think already we could just wipe away the "Are you worried about that?" What was there to worry about there? Anthony Davis. The only thing to worry about is if they shut down Anthony Davis, they're not going to do that. So there's nothing to whatever team he goes to. I'm pretty sure Anthony Davis is going to start and play a lot of minutes.
Yeah, this is good. Ties into something we talked about yesterday, where the trade deadline could be crazy, and this could be the king of the crazy moves. Now, depending on who you listen to, right, it's going to be difficult to trade Davis just because of the contract situation there, right?
We could pause real quick. Sorry, there's just a lot of background.
I'm guessing the dogs are trying to fight each other.
Yeah, no worries. Especially if they're gonna blow up, we'd have to stop anyway. So. Just let me know when you're good.
We should be good.
Cool. Let's just start over with Anthony Davis. All right, cool. So Anthony Davis has requested a trade, and we don't have to worry about it because he's going to play wherever he is going to play.
Well, and the crazy thing about Davis is not going to be the Davis part of it. It's going to be what comes back the other way for Davis, right? If there actually is a trade, and there's no guarantee that there's going to be a trade because, I mean, what teams really have the assets to acquire someone like Anthony Davis? He's not a free agent at the end of this season, right? He's a free agent at the end of next season. So probably the most likely thing is you see him get traded this summer. But anything's possible.
Yeah, if I had to bet, he would probably get traded after the season, I would assume. But let's do a little quick thought experiment here. There's only a handful of teams who probably can make a trade for someone like Anthony Davis anyway. As the final year of Anthony Davis's contract gets closer and closer, that price starts going down. So it's in the best interest of most teams just to wait, unless you really, really want Anthony Davis. And guess what? Anthony Davis is one of those players, once in a generation type of players, once in a generation type of talent that really can swing your entire franchise. So giving away the farm actually does make sense for Anthony Davis. So I'm actually leaning on the other side of this equation, is that if a team really thinks they have a chance to get Anthony Davis and they're willing to give up a huge asset, I think they try to do it before the end of the year. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying the Pelicans are going to accept, but it would be smarter to get out ahead of it and offer someone, let's say, probably the top two contenders are Philadelphia and Boston, I would assume.
Well, Boston can't make the trade during the season.
Why is that?
They have Kyrie Irving under that designated player exemption or
Ah,
whatever, and Anthony Davis is under the same thing, and you can't, by the CBA, you can't have two players under that thing. Now, Kyrie Irving's expires at the end of the season, so they would be able to trade for him in the offseason, but they cannot trade for him during this season.
well then, if I'm Philly, I'm making my move right now. You know, and or if I'm any other team who thinks that they have the assets. He did state that he wanted to go to a team that gives him a chance of winning. So the Chicago Bulls are played themselves right out of the contention for their own hometown talent, Anthony Davis. Way to go, idiots! So they were always out. Obviously, most teams are actually out of that running, which would leave, the Warriors. Probably. I don't think Golden State has enough. Would give up anything enough to get him. I don't think Oklahoma City would give up enough to get him. And I guess there's the Lakers, but like, what would you really want? Like Kuzma, Ingram, and Ball for Anthony Davis? I wouldn't.
Well, and at what point do you give up so much that, like, I mean, they got to have more players than LeBron and Anthony Davis. So, like, if you're saying those three aren't enough, you start trying to look for a few more assets, and at some point, right, like, there's no team left for the Lakers. So, finding a deal is very difficult. Now, obviously, there could be a lot of picks and those kind of things involved, and maybe that's what New Orleans is looking for.
I'm sure.
The crazier thing, too, could be if they deal Davis, do they just go total blow up and deal Drew Holiday and Etuan Moore and maybe anybody, right, and just blow the whole thing up?
I mean, pull an entire go the Philly route, trust the process, get everybody out. I think that's when it comes to New Orleans, that's a good way to not have a team anymore. They don't have a really strong market in the first place. And if they really wanted to move to Seattle, that's exactly what they should do. But I do think if you look at the Lakers, perhaps even if they give up all those rookies and maybe some future draft picks, though I don't know how many future draft picks the Lakers have to give out due to the rules where you can't trade consecutive draft picks. Even if they're able to get that out, they're going to have enough money because of all the current contracts that they have in order to sign another free agent. So like Anthony Davis and LeBron, does that everyone's going to want to play on that team. And maybe they bring in enough people next year to make it happen.
Yeah, and that's why I think maybe it's a little bit more likely after the season too. And what would need to happen, I think, for the Lakers to make that deal was, one or two of those guys need to recoup some value, right? Like Lonzo Ball hasn't really played great in the NBA yet. Brandon Ingram, everyone thought he was going to take like this big step forward this year, and we haven't really seen that. And Kuzma kind of leveled off too. So I think one of those guys kind of has to take a little bit of a step forward, make them a little bit more attractive to the Pelicans, maybe for the trade to go down, or for the Lakers not to have to give up, every asset they have. And I'll say this too about picks, like trading picks, that can get real hairy. So like watch, like if you read any articles in the coming weeks before the trade deadline, I'll just use the Mavericks for an example because I know their situation pretty good. They literally cannot trade a first-round pick until 2025.
Wow.
And the whole reason behind that is they put protections on that pick with the Hawks every season all the way up until 2023. So, so if there's a protection on a pick, you can't trade that pick because you don't know if you're going to have it or not to trade. So until that pick from the Luka Doncic trade actually goes into effect, which will probably be in this draft, the Mavericks can't trade a pick for a very long time.
Wow. I did not know they were kind of handcuffed for that terribly long, which actually makes a lot of sense why they made the move for Luka Doncic the way they did. And as we all know, that was one of the smartest moves made by a franchise in a while. Luka Doncic has been out of control lately, and I don't really see him like slowing down. The guy's played plenty of games. He's not going to get those freshman legs like all those kids coming out of college.
Does he make the All-Star team on Thursday?
He should. He 100% should. He's making his case right now, and I think he has.
Yeah, he just kind of set a record on Sunday night. He became the youngest player with 2 triple doubles. He's the only player ever under 20 years old with 2 triple doubles under his belt, and he became the youngest player to score 30 points in a triple double. He broke LeBron. LeBron did it like at age 20 and like 100 days, and Luka Doncic is still 19 for another month.
Yeah, whatever. See you later, LeBron. We got Luka Doncic in town. He's the next great player of the next generation. I'm just like, he is a blast to watch. Like, if Dallas is coming to your town, you got to go see him.
Did you see in that game against the Raptors? Now, he dropped 35 points against Kawhi Leonard. And people can say what they want. Kawhi Leonard was guarding him 85% of the time.
Yeah, like that's the best, one of the best defenders, if not the best defender in the league.
Did you see that crazy 3-point shot he hit though? This was
he hit a couple of those like just long, huge arc threes.
Well, and the one that didn't even like get the most pub was like he didn't even like get his shot off right. Like Kawhi Leonard was like right in his grill, and he literally like set the ball on his fingertips and like flicked it at the basket with just his right hand, and it went in.
Yeah, I saw that one. It's incredible.
And I was like, what the hell was that?
It doesn't make any sense, but the dude is, I mean, I just don't know. He's playing at a completely different level. Definitely something that I don't think I've ever seen a 19-year-old. I've never seen a 19-year-old play that well.
Well, and I mean, this is just a kid who was born with the basketball in his hands and has literally played professional basketball for 5 years. Like, it's so hard to fathom when you're 19 years old that you've played top-flight professional basketball for 5 years. He moved to Spain as a 12-year-old kid to play basketball full-time.
He's basically the Messi of NBA basketball. Yes. Now, let me walk that back for all of our international and our actual real football fans out there, as I am a football fan. Messi being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, probably the greatest player of all time in professional football. I am not trying to say that Luka Doncic is the greatest player of all time. Don't get me wrong, but Barcelona taking Messi under their wing at a very, very young age and bringing him to the level that he got to. A similar story.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be super interesting to see, how quickly he can shoot up too, right? Like, we've already seen so many amazing things, and he's averaging over 20 points a game, and it'll be interesting to see how fast he can shoot up that ladder into that kind of top 15, top 10 players in the NBA, and if he can even do it, right? Like, there's no guarantee that it's going to happen.
Yeah, this could all fall apart next year. That's why it's like so interesting to watch, because I don't think it's going to. And if it's not going to, if he's just going to get better, he's going to learn more tricks of the trade. If he's going to learn how to get fouled like Harden, if he's going to develop a fadeaway like Dirk, like if he's going to get better at passing the ball, like the sky, like the ceiling is the roof, man. The ceiling's the roof.
The Mavericks have a podcast named that.
I think that was a Jordan. Jordan said that. Ceiling is the roof. Yeah. So Michael Jordan got the North Carolina crowd pumped up by telling everybody that the ceiling is the roof. Respect to the actual greatest of all time, MJ, out there saying nonsense. Nobody knows what he's talking about. But Tyler, enough of all this. I am excited to see what happens in these trade deadline weeks coming up. It is week 16. We are getting closer and closer to that trade deadline. But it's time to check out all of our normal and abnormal waiver wire players hanging out on the waiver wire, getting picked up. As always, we are going off the transaction trends on the major sites, mostly Yahoo, because they do seem to have some of the more knowledgeable players out there. And they have a fairly good pulse in what types of players are being picked up. And as always, we have to mention whenever one of these players is on the list, Emmanuel Mudiay, our boy, the king of the waiver wire, suffered a left shoulder strain. He'll be out for 2 weeks, and everyone is dropping him. And that's a shame because he was playing well.
Yeah, but we can't say we're super surprised, can we?
I'm not too surprised, I guess, but that has allowed another waiver wire player here to pop up on the list, and that is our old friend Trey Burke, who is getting the minutes now. Now that he is I don't know, back on the team, like I don't even know where the hell he was, and now he's probably going to get Emmanuel Mudiay's minutes.
You ever wonder why they call him Trey Burke?
No.
Do you know what his?
I've never wondered that.
Do you know what his real name is?
I don't. I do not know what his real name is.
Alfonso Clark Burke III.
Okay, yeah, that's why they call him Trey Burke. That's not a great name. And also, there is an Alonzo. Maybe he doesn't want to get it confused with Alonzo Trier.
I don't know. I just think that's funny that they call him Trey Burke. Anyways, that's an aside. Trey Burke, I think we know what Trey Burke is at this point, and it's fine, but it's not great. And I mean, he's going to play the minutes, we think, right? I mean, it's never safe to say that within a David Fizdale rotation.
That's for sure.
But yeah, he should be fine. He's not a great assist player. I don't think. I don't think he's going to get you like super, super good assists. And he's definitely not going to give you much in the defensive stats. Like he may get you a steal a game if he's playing 30 to 32 minutes, which is not great.
No, not the best, but I do think he is a temporary ad. We were talking about this in our weekly preview, and if you haven't checked out Tyler's weekly preview article over on #basketball.com, you should go check that out after the podcast. Don't do it right now. Do it after the podcast. But there's quite a few teams only playing 2 games this week. Portland's only playing 1 game. The Knicks are playing 4. Trey Burke's going to be playing due to injury. If he's playing 30-some minutes a game, he's getting you like 14, 15 points, 3 assists, half a steal, maybe a little over, maybe a round to 3. Cool. Like you add that up over 4 games over the entire week, and that is much better than getting 1 game or 2 games from even some of the best players in the league.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just want to caution people that Trey Burke is not a great assist guy. Like if you're going to call him your point guard, he's not great at assists and he's not great at steals, which are 2 things most people think they're getting with a point guard.
Yeah, he is below average actually in both of those. So don't get your hopes up there. But if you need the points, I guess he's probably going to shoot. I don't know who else is doing anything on this damn team. So they're certainly not playing Enes Kanter for some reason. And it's ruining most of my leagues.
Well, and what's crazy is like lately it's been, Alonzo Trier has a 25-point game, and then Damian Dotson has a 15-point game. And then it's like, man, they're so hard to predict. And Kevin Knox has been pretty sound recently. But other than that, like as far as the scoring goes, it's kind of been all over the map.
Yeah. Man, like, how are there so many poorly run teams in the NBA? How's that possible still?
So, I mean, the better things get, right, the more marginalized things get in the sense that, if everybody's getting better and better and better over time, there's a smaller gap between the best and the worst. So I guess my point is, you can look really bad now by not making that many bad decisions. And so the teams that make a lot of bad decisions look really, really bad.
Yeah, they certainly do. Speaking of bad teams making bad decisions at almost every turn, the Chicago Bulls, just an abysmal tire fire of garbage. Just legitimately probably this season is the low point in franchise history. Actually has a player on the waiver wire list here as being added, not being dropped, which is what you would think. Everybody's dropping Jabari, everybody's dropping Bobby Portis. No, Wayne Selden Jr. actually got off to a hot start here with the Chicago Bulls. A lot of people didn't even know he was on the team, including probably the coach, who was probably just busy with his the leadership summit that he's having with the leadership crew, whoever the hell they are. But shout out to Wayne Selden for getting some playing time on this trash hole Bulls team. And he finally got a start, and he played 37 minutes, and he it was 15, 6, and 3 with some three three-pointers. And this was a close game. It was against Cleveland, one of the few teams that the Bulls could actually play against and not be absolutely blown out of the water as they were for basically, I would say, the entire month of January. They had only like 2 games that aren't a blowout. So what are your thoughts here on Wayne Selden at all? Or do you have any?
Well, if you remember last year, right, he got now it's like 5 games, and so we can talk about the validity of the sample, right? It's very small, but he had a 5-game stretch with the Grizzlies where he was starting and playing over 30 minutes a game last season, and he didn't shoot the ball that great, but we saw 12 points, 2 3-pointers, 3.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 0.6 steals, 0.2 blocks. So this isn't the first time we've seen Wayne Selden do some things that are fantasy relevant. He's still only 23 years old. I just don't think he's there yet. If you need 3-pointers, I mean, okay. If you need some points, okay. But, I mean, for his career, he's relatively a league average 3-point shooter. And he hasn't really shown the ability to be special as far as scoring the basketball. But he has shown some flashes, right? And I guess that's all we have to go on, a young player who's not really played that many games, and he's never really played that many minutes. But I guess there's some potential here. I'm sure there's a lot more guys on the waiver wire I'd like to add, though.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. In standard leagues, even with Wayne Selden maybe playing starters minutes, let's just say from here on out, which is not going to happen, you're not really gaining too much other than your standard statistics. Like, you're going to get some points, maybe you get, a rebound here, assist there. And let's all remember that in almost 38 minutes, it took him 38 minutes against the Cleveland Cavaliers to go 15, 6, and 3. So I'm not giving him an ad. Maybe there's a lot more deeper leagues out there on Yahoo, and that's why the ads are piling up here for Wayne Selden. But I'm not interested.
Fair enough.
All right. This is the main guy, the top guy, the guy that everybody's adding all over the board, all over the country, all over the globe. This guy's getting added in almost every one of these leagues. It's one of the biggest, goofiest looking dudes I've ever seen in my life. Ivica Zubac. Ivica Zubac. Tyler, how excited are you about the return of Ivica Zubac? Nothing easy. Game 7, baby.
You totally butchered it. You still totally butchered it.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to say this guy's name right.
Dude, okay, can you say these 3 words?
I thought the accent would I'd get away with it with the accent.
Eve. Like, we're on the eve of it. Like, okay, Christmas
like
Eve.
Eve.
Yeah. It's.
Evitz.
Ooh.
Ooh?
Yep.
Evitsu. Evitsu?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that I have a knife that's an Evitsu.
Yep. And then Zoo Bots.
Evitsu Zubac?
I don't know where you added the CH in there. It's Bots.
Evitsu Zubats.
Yeah, you got it.
What a fucking name. This guy. Hey, shout out to Bosnia and her I can't even say her I used to be able to say it. Bosnia and her Herzegovina. There it is. Man, I think I'm like losing it here in my old age, Tyler.
You could just call him Big Z. I mean, that sounds reasonable.
I reserve that for the goose, Il Goose. He's the only Big Z in my life, my friend.
Wait, say his actual name.
Zidandris Ilgauskas.
Dude, no. I'm not even going to go there.
All right, we should probably move on before I butcher every single name in the Serbio-Croatian peninsula, which is which is legitimately one of my favorite places in the world. So I should get better at it.
Can you say German names? What's that guy who plays for the Mavericks that's not Dirk?
Wesley Matthews.
No, he's the German guy. His first name's Maxi.
Oh, Maxi Kleebler? Kleebler Elves? One of the Kleebler Elves is what he looks like.
Maxi Kleba.
Maxi Kleba. No, I can't say any of his fucking names. All right? I grew up in Central Illinois, and like the most exotic name that they had was like Stan.
Did you grow up in South Park?
Pretty much. A very flat South Park.
Was one of them Cartman too, or Kyle?
That's too complex of a name, but they didn't have those.
Oh, okay. So anyways, I am deathly afraid of this ad.
But are you adding them?
I mean, it's fine. We've seen this in the past where he's been okay, but like, even if we're gonna look for the month of January, he's had 2 games where he's played 8 minutes and 4 minutes. Right?
Yipes.
And for the month in total, right, when everyone thinks he's been playing all these minutes, he's averaging 17.4 minutes a game.
That's not great.
And the stat line isn't really that exciting. I mean, he shoots good percentages from both the field and the free throw line. So that's a positive, especially if you're playing roto and all that. But here's his January stat line. 12.2 points, 6.5 rebounds, 0.8 blocks, 0.7 assists, and absolutely no three-pointers.
He is not a modern big. He's not getting you those three-pointers.
So you're looking at points and blocks, or points and rebounds, and maybe like a block a game, which we talked about how valuable a block a game can be. But at the same time, like, I don't know. He's like often playing around 20 minutes in matchups where they have a big guy that he needs to guard. And in those time, he's getting you like 12 to 15 points and like 8 rebounds and maybe a block. Like,
so let me throw a guy out here. Let me just throw somebody who is probably available in your league. I'm going to throw a couple guys out here. Like you've listed out old Zubic's stat line. And as you mentioned, his blocks aren't out of control, which is what you want from your center. His rebounds are solid. His points are good. This person in the last month has averaged 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 threes, just a little over assist a game, a half a block, and a half a steal a game. Granted, only shooting 42%, but 80% from the line. Is that a better stat line than Zubac?
Are the minutes relatively consistent, or are they riding a roller coaster too?
They are consistent at around 27 minutes per game.
Yeah, give me that. Because and before you even say it, here's my word. Here's my biggest worry is we've seen him be out of the rotation plenty. And we just saw a stretch in December where he played like 30 minutes for 3 games in a row. Then he had 2 games where he played 20 minutes, and then he was completely out of the rotation for a game. Then he played 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 19 minutes, and 4 minutes over the next 4 games. Like, we've seen this roller coaster all season for Zubac.
Yeah, it's quite frightening. And then even if he was playing 28, 29 minutes a game, you're getting some good points and rebounds.
Yeah, right. Like if you're telling me he's going to get like starters minutes for a big man, which is right around 30 minutes a game for the average center, right? Like no, not many centers are playing more than 30 minutes a game. You're literally talking in 30 minutes like 16 points and like 10 rebounds with 1.2 blocks.
Yeah, that's it.
Like that's not that great. And there's no assists. None. There might be one a game. There's no steals. There's no 3-pointers.
So the player that I just compared old Zubac to was Marcus Morris.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd definitely rather have Marcus Morris. I don't think that's a question.
Here's another guy who's getting limited minutes. 11 points, 7.5 rebounds, a half a steal a game, and 1.3 blocks per game over the last month. Consistent, hanging around 23 minutes a game.
I'm buying that consistent minutes, man. I'm always buying those consistent minutes.
That guy's Derek Favors. So there are definitely guys on your waiver wire who will produce what Zubac is giving you. Do not take these flashy 26 and 11 lines and the fact that he's a Laker and the fact that he's not very handsome. Cloud your judgment when you're looking at your waiver wire. He is not the best. He is not the next big thing. He's just not.
Well, and I think he's being used a lot as a matchups play. And what most people fail to see about this is, you know, he played 28 minutes against the Thunder and Steven Adams. You know what I mean? But then there are plenty of games like where Dallas played pretty small in that game. He played 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, and they even had DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan played in that game. So you think that might have been like, okay, he might match up against Jordan some. No, they did not go with that. So he played 23 minutes against Andre Drummond. But he only played 14 minutes against Rudy Gobert. So I don't even know. You like to think, well, maybe it's matchups, but I can't even say that it's that. I don't really know what it is. Like, why? How do they decide who gets the minutes between Tyson Chandler, JaVale McGee, and Zubac? I don't know.
It's kind of a crapshoot. And he might be hot for a while, and he might just completely disappear off the map. So, as Tyler was saying, I agree. Ride the hot hand when the matchups make sense, but do not rely on this guy to save your week. He might not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If we look back in 2 weeks and he's back playing 10 minutes a game, I'm not going to be at all surprised.
I am not either. I'm going to give it another shot, Tyler. Herzegovina.
Oh, Michael.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Shout out to anyone listening in Herzegovina. We'd love to hear from you. Honestly, that region, I want to visit that region again. I thought it was one of the most beautiful places in the entire world. So if you're out there, hey, tweet at us. Even if you don't want us to come to your beautiful country or whatever country you listen to, feel free to tweet at us. You can find me at Watch the Boxes. You can find Tyler at Tyler P. Watts. Tyler, what do you got to plug?
I don't got anything to plug, but I want to know if you've ever seen this show. It's called My Name is Earl. You ever see it?
My Name is Earl. Yes, I have seen it.
You see the one where he teaches the English class?
I have not seen that one.
Okay, well, so they show us about a guy, and he tries to make up for all the bad things he's done in his life by doing good things, right? And one of the things was like he made fun of foreigners' English, so he teaches like all these foreigners how to speak English. They like have a class like the local community center, and he teaches it. I think we should try to get you to teach that class because that would just be absolutely hilarious.
I would just be doing a disservice to the fine people who are trying to learn English. Do not.
Maybe we should get. Maybe better yet, maybe we should get you to take that class.
Yeah, maybe I should enroll. Quite frankly, I was not paying attention during the grammar parts of school, as everyone can tell here. Guys, we really appreciate you guys contributing to the podcast, leaving us feedback. If you like the show, if you like what you're listening to, rate, review us wherever you're listening to. That really helps out. Tell a friend, tell somebody in your league that this show exists. Get them to download, get them to subscribe. because even though you probably are getting a little bit of an advantage listening to the show, if you join our Patreon, patreon.com/watchingtheboxes, you will get early access to shows like this and our buy low sell high shows and some shows here possibly during the trade I guess period of the season, and you will get those if you are a subscriber to patreon.com/watchingtheboxes. Shout out to all of our subscribers out there. You guys are awesome and you help support the show. We really appreciate that, and we will catch you next time.